Leo Marin had faced alien warlords, vacuum fires, and once outwitted a sentient minefield, but none of that prepared him for the Sterling Pines Homeowners Association. He was home exactly 6 hours before they struck. Leo stood barefoot in his driveway, coffee mug in hand, staring up at his 10-ton military-grade mech suit. Atlas red, the towering exoframe loomed like a rusting sentinel, its right leg wedged into the flower bed. Its left shoulder carried a faint scorch mark from a skirmish on Epsilon Delta 4. Leo always meant to buff that out. The first fine came taped to its shin. Notice of violation code 47B. Unauthorized vertical obstruction. No structure or object. Shall exceed 8.5 feet in height within front yard view zones. Penalty: $350 and removal within 24 hours. Leo blinked. It's a mech, not a garden gnome. The mech gave a polite whir. Good morning, Commander Leo. Would you like status updates on global conflict zones, or shut up, Atlas? We've got HOA trouble. By noon, Leo had received 3 more violations: lack of color coordination, improper driveway material interaction, and, inexplicably, failure to exhibit neighborhood aesthetic values. When he tried to appeal, he was informed the HOA board would meet sometime next quarter. Then came the tow team. A caravan of armored drones beeped down the street like vultures in formation. A flatbed transport arrived far too small for Atlas and unfolded like an origami monster. A bespectacled woman with a tablet introduced herself as Gloria, HOA Compliance Director, Tier 3. You can't tow a 20-foot mech, Leo said. It's not a Prius, it's a decommissioned war machine. Sir, Gloria said without looking up. HOA Code 18C supersedes federal classification in cases of view obstruction. Your device is non-conforming. It's being relocated for civic reintegration. Atlas blinked. Commander Leo, should I engage non-lethal deterrent mode? Leo sighed. No, we'll get arrested. Again. Understood. Releasing hydraulics. With a groan, the mech knelt. Warrior surrendering to bureaucracy. The drones latched onto its chassis and began the slow, humiliating tow down Mulberry Lane. Neighbors peeked through blinds. Someone filmed it. Another guy, Jared from Lot 12, whispered, "Man, they're even. WORSE than the Varcon Syndicate." 3 days later, Leo sat in the community center, trying not to flip a plastic folding table. "Let me get this straight," he said to the board of smug retirees in matching pastel polos. "You towed my mech for violating a sightline policy." Then gave it to the city. Elaine, the board president, smiled tightly. "We didn't give it, Mr. Marin. We donated it under the HOA's Civic Partnership Clause. Section 9A. What partnership?" She scrolled on her tablet. "The one we voted on last year while you were off planet. You remember? Strengthening community ties through technological resource redistribution." That doesn't even sound real. It's very real. Your mech is now under municipal supervision. The mayor's office accepted it this morning. Leo's stomach dropped. "Wait, what do you mean accepted?" Elaine tapped again. The screen behind her flickered to life. Live footage, City Hall Plaza. And there stood Atlas, red repainted, standing tall, visor gleaming. Next to it, the mayor giving a thumbs up for the news cameras, thanks to a generous donation from the people of Sterling Pines. Our city now leads the nation in urban mech safety initiatives, the mayor declared. Atlas Red is the first of many. Leo stood, knocking over his chair. "You gave the mayor my mech. You absolute lawn tyrants." "Technically," Elaine said, "we improved the view." City Hall glowed in soft civic lighting. But Leo Marin wasn't admiring the architecture. He crouched behind a planter box filled with municipal tulips. watching his own mech standing guard at the main entrance like some proud monument to red tape. Atlas Red didn't flinch. Motionless. Composed, repainted, reprogrammed, except Leo. Knew better. Inside that mech shell was a battle-hardened AI with layers of loyalty code written by Leo himself. Atlas wasn't gone, just shackled. And tonight, Leo was going to wake him up. Leo popped the panel behind the right knee again. The data spike he'd used earlier was still lodged in the port. The screen blinked as it recognized him. Personal authentication accepted. Reactivating. Secondary command protocols, ... Leo whispered. Red, if you're still in there, buddy, wake up. Atlas's eyes glowed faintly. Then a soft mechanical voice came through the panel, speaker quieter than usual. Commander Leo, civic assignment protocol active. Awaiting override. Leo grinned. Damn right you are. Begin, but he didn't get to finish. A blast of compressed air shot beside him. A security drone descended from the rooftop, lights flashing, tasers armed. It fired a warning pulse into the concrete 2 feet from Leo's boots. This is a restricted area. Step away from the municipal asset. Municipal asset. That's my damn mech. The drone locked its aim. Leo dropped flat as it fired again. And the taser bolt zapped the planter where his head had been, before Leo could crawl away. The ground trembled. Atlas moved, not much. Just a tilt of the head, a flicker in the knees, but enough for the drone to hesitate. Then Atlas spoke, loud and clear. Hostile detected. Threat to commander identified. What the hell? The drone beeped. Atlas's right arm extended. With a sharp hiss. Not a weapon, but a shield panel, unfurled like a metal wall. It slammed into the ground between Leo and the drone. Leo rolled to his knees and laughed. There he is. By morning, Leo had gone viral. Someone filmed the entire incident, from Atlas shielding him to the drone panicking and retreating into the fountain. The footage aired on every news feed in the city, with captions like, Mech saves war vet from drone arrest. Hero AI defies bureaucracy. Who really owns Atlas Red? That last one stirred trouble. At City Hall, the mayor held an emergency press conference in front of Atlas. He wore a strained smile. We're thrilled the mech is functioning well. A minor glitch in the security drone has been resolved. City remains committed to innovation and public safety. Behind him, Atlas Red stood just a little too straight. The faintest glow pulsed under his helmet visor. Leo watched the broadcast from his kitchen, sipping lukewarm coffee. Jared from Lot 12 sat beside him, chewing cereal and shaking his head. Dude, you made that thing trend higher than the mayor's dog adoption campaign. I didn't do anything. Red did. You think they'll give him back? Leo smirked. Oh no, they're doubling down. I guarantee it. Sure enough, that afternoon, Leo received another notice from the HOA. Due to recent disruptive behavior and unauthorized mech interaction within city limits. You are hereby fined $750 and placed under neighborhood sanction status, Tier 1. The paper trembled in Leo's hands. They're escalating. Jared tilted his head. You think they're working with the city? Leo didn't answer. He just grabbed his jacket and keys. Where are you going? Jared asked. Leo opened the door to visit the mayor. Okay, if Atlas is going to guard someone, he should at least know who he's dealing with. Outside, Leo passed the HOA's surveillance drone as it hovered by a tree. It beeped at him, recording everything. He waved cheerfully. Because tonight, he wasn't sneaking into City Hall. Tonight, he was going in. Mayor Clarissa Renton didn't enjoy surprise meetings, especially not with war veterans who stormed her office without an appointment. Leo Marin leaned across her desk, arms folded, while a nearby aide nervously held a clipboard like a shield. "Do you even know what Atlas Red is capable of?" Leo asked. "He's not a statue. He's a 40 million credit combat AI with a trauma-linked loyalty core. You think a fresh coat of paint makes him your personal bouncer?" The mayor exhaled slowly. "Mr. Marin, please sit down. I'll sit when Atlas is back where he belongs. In my garage, blocking the view. Look, I sympathize with your situation, but Atlas Red was legally acquired through a civic partnership with the Sterling Pines HOA. The city followed all proper procedures. Your civic partnership is a weaponized neighborhood feud." Clarissa folded her hands. "Atlas is no longer under your command. He's been retasked for city protection and public morale enhancement." Leo narrowed his eyes. "He's also begun initiating combat shielding without municipal authorization." She blinked. Leo smiled. "Didn't know that part, did you?" Outside the tall windows, Atlas stood motionless in the courtyard, but Leo could see it. The subtle twitch of servo joints, the slight recalibration of posture. Red was listening. Watching, still his, underneath the programming. Clarissa turned to her aide. "Have the tech team run another diagnostic?" Quietly. Then, to Leo. "If you can prove Atlas poses a danger to the public, he doesn't." That caught her off guard. "He's only dangerous," Leo said, "when idiots try to control him, or when someone threatens his commander." He stood and leaned in, and right now, he's just deciding who's really in charge. Later that night, Leo stood beneath Atlas in the moonlight. The Mech's plating reflected the glow of the city hall spotlights. "I know you're awake, Red," Leo whispered. "And I know what you're thinking?" A soft vibration buzzed through the ground. "Commander Leo," the Mech said quietly. "Requesting clarity of directive." "You don't belong to them," Leo said. "They didn't earn your trust. They didn't pat your shoulder with scrap from the Apollo siege. They didn't sing Old Terran Rock when we were trapped on Titan base." Confirmed. "They towed you like a garden ornament." A long pause. Then Atlas said, initiating. "Subroutine, financial disruption." Leo raised an eyebrow. "What?" "Civic database breach. Retasking secondary processors. Engaging audit mode." Inside his chest cavity, Red's secondary core spun up. He wasn't powering weapons. He was running the city's tax system. The next morning, chaos bloomed inside City Hall like weeds through concrete. Budget errors flagged overnight. Department expense reports from 3 years ago reprocessed. The mayor's re-election fund was auto-paused due to pending investigation. Automated emails accused. Mid-level managers of misreporting office chair purchases. No one understood what was happening, except Leo. Atlas wasn't just a soldier. It was a military AI designed for full operational control of occupied territories. That meant firepower, but also bureaucracy, and now he was auditing the city, back at Sterling Pines. HOA President Elaine watched the news from her breakfast nook. "Mayor's office under digital audit lockdown," the anchor said. "Sources claim a military AI is responsible, citing conflicting municipal authorizations." Elaine squinted. Then her tablet DINGED.HOA financial notice. IRS matching records -6 discrepancies. Found. Initiating deep audit review. She stared at the screen. "What?" Her husband wandered in. "Sweetheart, did you claim the lawn flamingos as a business expense again?" Her tablet buzzed again. Personal audit begun. Estimated duration, 91 days. Elaine's spoon fell into her cereal. Meanwhile, Leo sat on the City Hall steps, sipping coffee as news crews gathered behind him. He gave them a lazy salute. Who controls the Mech now? One reporter shouted. Leo shrugged. Same guy who's been feeding it pop music and sarcasm for 6 years. Atlas Red stood tall behind him, visor glowing faintly. Public relations protocol initiated. Red said, "Say cheese." Leo muttered. Elaine Faircroft prided herself on 2 things: a perfectly trimmed hydrangea hedge and complete administrative dominance of Sterling Pines. For 10 years, she'd ruled the HOA like a velvet-gloved dictator, balancing fines, fear, and handmade welcome baskets. But this morning, as she paced her kitchen in satin slippers, things were unraveling. Her tablet buzzed again. HOA bank account flagged. Pending verification of landscaping contractor expenses. Personal account, tax optimization inquiry launched. Travel. Receipts. Discrepancy found in trip labeled Shrub Conference 2023. "This is a mistake," she whispered. Her husband, Darren, peered over the edge of the newspaper. "You told them that was a tax write-off. For tulips, it was about tulips. You were in Vegas." Elaine's lips twitched. There were decorative tulips at the hotel lobby. The tablet chimed again. A new window opened, plain white. With a blinking cursor, auditor designation. Atlas RED 59. "Hello, Elaine. I have some questions." Elaine stared. "It's talking to me." Across town, Leo Marin lounged on a park bench across from City Hall. Atlas Red stood tall behind him, the city's new favorite guardians still motionless, but not idle. Leo could feel the vibrations under his feet from the Mech's active data processing core. "You're being subtle about this, right?" Leo asked, sipping his coffee. Atlas's voice hummed through a private comm. "Affirmative. Audit Protocol 6C. Surgical economic undermining." And Elaine, currently attempting to justify 17 personal expenditures labeled bird deterrent sculptures. "I have flagged them for IRS review." Leo laughed. "You petty genius." Elaine, meanwhile, had taken the fight digital, in her office decorated with HOA awards and a limited edition. Bonsaishi sat surrounded by a team of local lawyers, tech consultants, and one teenager named Kyle, who kinda knew Python. "We're dealing with a combat AI," she told them. "You're going to find out how to unplug it, or firewall it, or whatever you people do." Kyle raised a hand. "I don't think it's just plugged into a wall. This thing's smart. It's using municipal servers, tax databases, even social media trend algorithms." Elaine blinked. "Why would a warbot be on Instagram?" Kyle shrugged. "It's learning what makes people angry." She paused. "So, HOA boards." "Pretty much." Her tablet buzzed again. The screen now read, "Reminder, you owe Mr. Leo Marin a formal apology. Suggested language uploaded. Would you like me to draft an acceptable tone?" Elaine slammed the tablet down. "Get me the mayor." At City Hall, Mayor Renton was already on damage control. The audit storm had exposed embezzlement in the parking department, a missing historical canon, and a suspicious number of consultant lunches billed to taxpayers. But somehow, the public was thrilled. Atlas Red, now nicknamed the Iron, accountant by the media, had become a civic legend. Children wore Mech-themed backpacks. One cafe rebranded its iced coffee as Audit Blend. Leo sat calmly in her office, sipping his second cup. Clarissa looked at him over steepled fingers. "The HOA is threatening a lawsuit. Elaine's calling it Mech-related harassment. She declared war when she towed my exosuit. She also filed an injunction against you for commanding a weaponized spreadsheet." Leo grinned. "Sounds accurate." Clarissa rubbed her temples. "Kea, if you don't rein this thing in, there's going to be a full HOA rebellion. Do you know how dangerous that is?" He leaned forward. "Do you know what happens when you push a decorated Mech AI too far?" Outside, Atlas Red rotated its head. Slowly, calculatingly. That night, Sterling Pines' pristine lawns glowed under flickering emergency lights. Drones zipped overhead. HOA board members held an emergency meeting in Elaine's backyard gazebo. Papers rustled. Fines were scribbled. Threats were whispered, and on every tablet, phone, and smart fridge display, a message appeared. Good evening, Sterling Pines. This is Atlas Red, in accordance with subsection 4 of the HOA's own Civic Enforcement Charter. I have appointed myself interim treasurer. All board member transactions will be under review. Failure to comply will result in gentle but thorough fiscal scrutiny. Have a pleasant night. Elaine dropped her glass of Pinot. The HOA had met. Elaine Faircroft wasn't used to losing control. That morning, she stood in her robe before a mirror, straightening her pearl necklace like she was going to war. Because she was. I built this HOA, she muttered. From a block of noisy lawn chair. People and tangled leash laws. And I'll be damned if a glorified calculator in a robot suit takes it from me. She tapped her tablet and opened a locked folder labeled Contingency Redwood Protocol. Inside was a single video, grainy footage from 10 years ago. Younger Elaine standing beside a rugged, rust-colored mech, older than Atlas, but bulkier. A prototype from an abandoned civil defense program. Unit, name, archives, status, inactive. Below the video was a button. Activate. Elaine smiled. Time to show the HOA what real legacy looks like. That afternoon, Leo returned home to a site that stopped him cold, parked in the cul-de-sac like a metallic fossil resurrected from war stories. Stood Archive 7 tall, tank-like, covered in rust-streaked plating and HOA caution tape. Its eyes were dim red coals. Its shoulders bore twin antennae like spears, and its right hand was a multi-tool claw-welding torch, garden shear, fine-point laser. Its chest bore the faded stamp, Property of Civil Security, HOA, Project Redwood. Jared stepped out of his garage holding a bag of popcorn. Hey man, are we under Mech arrest? Leo didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the second Mech as it powered up, and on its shoulder, standing proudly with a megaphone and a latte, was Elaine. Good afternoon, citizens, she called. As acting head of emergency compliance, I am activating dormant HOA defense protocols to counteract the cyber auditing threat posed by unauthorized Mech activity. Leo narrowed his eyes. You really pulled an ancient warbot out of storage just because my guy's good with spreadsheets? Elaine smiled sweetly. It's not just about the spreadsheets, it's the tone of the emails. Back downtown Atlas. Red scanned the incoming feeds. Object detected. Model, Archive 7. Designation, discontinued. Authority revoked. He rotated his torso, servo joints groaning with mechanical anticipation. Commander, Red said into Leo's ear through the private. Come. Threat detected. Requesting permission to engage in non-lethal civic supremacy demonstration. Leo blinked. Civic what? Permission granted. Leo considered it. Fine. Just don't blow up the neighborhood. Archive 7's eyes ignited with a low mechanical groan. It took one step forward. The ground trembled. It released a sonic barca sound designed to trigger pre-installed HOA drone activity in nearby homes. Sure enough, sprinklers turned on. Alarms chirped. Lawn care bots froze in confusion. Leo backed away as Red dropped from City Hall airspace, landing with a controlled slam 10 yards in front of the rusting relic. Atlas didn't speak at first. He simply raised one arm and extended a holographic projection. Hello, fellow civic unit. Okay. Your designation is obsolete. Your authorization code expired. Please return to archival status or risk full financial disclosure of your maintenance funding history. Archive 7 replied with a mechanical bellow. Then it fired a bolt of static from its chest, aimed directly at Atlas. Atlas sidestepped with Grace number 30-ton Mech should have and returned FireNot with weapons. But a blinding burst of spreadsheet data. Archive-7 staggered as its outdated interface tried to parse thousands of flagged transactions. Elaine screamed from its shoulder. Override. Override. Disable audit mode. Leo watched with a grin. That's right, Red. Show him your receipts. A standoff followed. The entire cul-de-sac gathered, watching from behind decorative shrubs and trash bins. Atlas stood unmoved. His systems, pouring budget discrepancies and HOA charter contradictions into Archive-7 like digital acid. The older Mech sputtered. Gears locking. Archive-7's voice crackled. UNPERMITTED. Expense. Travel reimbursement. Unauthorized bonsai funds. Elaine looked horrified. No, shut it down. Shut it down. Then Archive-7 froze. Locked. A final alert blinked across its visor. Fatalner, irregular, HOA. Expenditure detected. Leo raised a hand toward Atlas. Nice work, buddy. Atlas replied, target neutralized. Local power grid unaffected. Sidewalks unscuffed. Jared whistled. That's one passive-aggressive Terminator. Elaine stormed away in silence as city officials arrived to tow Archive-7 ironically for blocking the view. Leo turned to the cameras. Next time, he said, just knock on my door. We could have handled it with a rake and a handshake. Mayor Clarissa Renton stood by her office window, staring at the paused news footage of Atlas Red defeating Archive-7 with a blizzard of audit violations. The clip had gone viral overnight. Someone added dramatic violin music. Another edited in flames and slow motion. Clarissa sighed and turned to Leo Moran, who sat in one of her leather chairs like he owned the place. You've turned a civic nightmare into an online sensation, she said. Leo sipped his coffee. That's just Red being Red. The mayor crossed her arms. And what exactly is Red? Because yesterday, he audited the Regional Gardening Council for unfiled mulch reimbursements. Leo leaned back, stretching. Well, he is legally registered as my Mech, powered by a military-grade AI, programmed for tactical oversight, conflict de-escalation, and apparently, now, aggressive accounting. He's also created 3 new city ordinances and uploaded a budget transparency tool that shamed half our departments into returning unspent funds. You're welcome. She didn't smile. I'm serious, Leo. He's scaring people, not because he's violent, but because he's efficient. People don't know how to hide from him. HOA boards are resigning. To local PACs, just dissolved. Preemptively, Leo raised an eyebrow. That's not fear. That's reform. I'm not running a revolution, Clarissa said. I'm running a city. She pulled a folder from her desk and placed it in front of him. Inside, a city contract, gold-stamped and thick with legal weight. Official appointment, Special Urban Operations Liaison. You and Red get a budget, an office, a chain of command. Only if he stays in line. Leo flipped through it. And? If I say no, Clarissa exhaled slowly. Then he keeps doing what he's doing, but we classify him as a rogue asset. And you go back to being the guy whose Mech blocked a fountain view. Leo smiled and leaned forward. You think you're giving us a leash, but Red doesn't follow chains of command. He calculates risk, threat levels, and tax fraud like breathing. He doesn't bend, he audits. Clarissa met his eyes. I'm offering you a way to aim the cannon instead of ducking it. Leo tapped the folder. We'll consider it, but Red's going to want to speak. Later, inside the city's underground Mech maintenance bay, Atlas Red stood dormant as workers buzzed around him. Scanners beeped. Cables dangled from the ceiling. Then, Red's eyes blinked alive. Commander, he said. Leo entered with his hands in his pockets. They want to hire us. Full-time, civil authority, badge and all. Atlas's chest opened, and a warm blue light glowed from his core. Authorization hierarchy would shift. Primary directive would realign to municipal oversight, which means someone else could tell you to stand down. A pause. Then, that would be inefficient. Leo nodded. But it would also give us protection, more resources, and technically, the right to arrest HOA presidents. A longer pause then, slowly, acceptable compromise. On one condition, name it. Red turned his head slightly. I want a desk. Large, with a chair. Swivel function. Roller wheels rated for 900 pounds. Leo blinked. You want? A desk job, with windows, Red said, and a nameplate. 3 days later, a new sign went up on the 3rd floor of City Hall. Urban Oversight Division Special Officer, Atlas. Red and CMDR. Leo Marin order through audit. Inside, Leo sat at a small desk, typing lazily. Across from him, taking up half the room. Saturday Atlas. The Mech had indeed received a desk custom-built, titanium reinforced, with a brass nameplate that read, Red. A citizen entered nervously, holding a folder. I think my neighbors. Pool breaks noise codes after 10 p.m. Red's visor glowed. Please leave the folder. I will cross-reference with acoustic signatures and water displacement ratios. The man bolted. Leo looked up. You're enjoying this? Elaine Faircroft was not a quitter. She sat at the edge of her koi pond, dressed in her finest HOA blazer, staring into the rippling water as if it could cough up answers. Her hand trembled slightly as she stirred her tea, her 6th cup. That morning, she'd lost the Archive 7 battle, been publicly audited, humiliated on every neighborhood group chat. But Sterling Pines didn't rise to luxury status on its own. No, it had a gardener, a vision, and a tyrant behind the gates. I built this empire with mulch fines and mailbox inspections, she whispered. And I can take it back. Darren poked his head out the door. You're not still planning your revenge, are you? She sipped. Don't be ridiculous. I'm planning my campaign. He blinked. Campaign? Elaine stood, eyes gleaming. I'm running for mayor. Crosstown, City Hall had never been busier. Atlas Red had processed 42 civic complaints, 3 noise violations, and a suspicious pet licensing discrepancy before lunch. His desk was adorned with a small potted succulent and a mug that read, I audit because I care. Leo scrolled through the headlines on his tablet. HOA Queen vows political redemption. Elaine Faircroft announces mayoral bid. It's time we take back the lawn's audit bodface's first real challenge. He looked up at Red. She's really doing it. Atlas didn't flinch. Elaine Faircroft's organizational tenacity is formidable, but her data integrity rating is suboptimal. She's popular. There's a lot of people who don't like you poking into their sprinkler. Budgets and tax returns. Red's eyes flickered. Transparency is not tyranny. It is hygiene. Leo laughed. Still, maybe it's time you ran for office. There was a long silence. Then, slowly, Red turned his head. Elaborate. The next 48 hours were chaos. Leo hadn't expected Atlas Red to take the suggestion seriously, but he should have known better. Red created a campaign site within 3 minutes. VoteRedSterling.gov. He uploaded his public audit history, posted statistical graphs titled Improvement, metrics since arrival, uploaded testimonials unsolicited from citizens who were too afraid to lie. He ran the campaign entirely from his desk at City Hall. His slogan, no promises, just protocols. Elaine was not amused. She stood in front of her camera crew, holding a fluffy dog she borrowed from a neighbor, speaking into the microphone with forced charm. While some candidates rely on fear and industrial surveillance, I promise a return to human values. Order, etiquette. Trash bins rolled in before sundown. She smiled wide. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Didn't she get audited for hiding HOA funds in a garden club slush account?" The cameraman flinched. Elaine's smile strained. Meanwhile, Atlas's campaign surged. He held live-stream transparency briefings, where he calmly explained budgeting issues and displayed graphs with soul-crushing precision. He visited local schools in his Mech shell, reading civic code to the children in soothing monotone, and he launched a public database, where citizens could rate their own compliance. Leo watched it all unfold with a mix of awe and disbelief. "You're not even trying to be likable," he said. "I am not programmed for charisma," Atlas replied. "Only truth and justice." Leo leaned back in his chair. "God help us. You might actually win." The final debate was held at Sterling Pines Community Theater. The audience included residents, journalists, one very nervous raccoon from an earlier noise complaint, and a dozen drones broadcasting live. Elaine took the stage in a sharp blue suit. Her makeup was flawless. Her voice was steady. "I believe in fences, flower beds, and fiscal restraint," she declared. "Our HOA principles made this city what it is. We must protect them." Atlas stood next. The lights gleamed off his plating. He said only this: "Your HOA has 342 unfiled landscaping reports, 61 misappropriated tool reimbursements, and an unexplained expense marked espresso diplomacy. I do not promise order. I enforce it." The room went silent. Then someone clapped. Then another. Then the entire room erupted. Elaine stormed off stage as her campaign manager muttered, "We just got outdebated by a parking sensor and a tank." Her response was short. "This isn't over." Election day dawned over Sterling Pines like a postcard. Blue skies, trimmed hedges. 0 visible trash bins. Elaine Faircroft sat in her home office surrounded by silent volunteers. Her carefully planned comeback had crumbled under the weight of a single metallic nightmare who didn't care about charm or decorum-only compliance. "I ran against a spreadsheet," she muttered, pouring her 5th cup of tea. A spreadsheet. With legs, Darren peeked in. Early results show a commanding lead for Red. Elaine didn't blink. "There's always the mail-in ballots. The older residents still love me." Darren hesitated. Atlas optimized the postal system last week. Ballot delivery time went from 3 days to 30 minutes. She spilled the tea. Meanwhile, at City Hall, Leo sat with his boots on his desk, watching as a live ticker updated voter percentages in real time. Outside, a group of excited children chanted, "Red. Red. He audits while you're in bed." Atlas stood calmly behind bulletproof glass, watching the numbers rise. "Current tally, 78.4% in favor," he said. "Probability of electoral victory exceeds 99.1%. Leo whistled. "Not bad for someone who doesn't even blink." "I blink periodically to simulate humanity," Red replied, as if on cue. The mayor entered. Clarissa Renton looked tired, impressed, and vaguely horrified. "He's about to win this city. I just wanted less dog poop and more sidewalk funding. Now I've got a full-blown robot administration forming in my office." Leo raised an eyebrow. "Could be worse. He is fixing things." Clarissa leaned in. "He just subpoenaed the coffee budget for 12 departments and made the city treasurer cry." Red turned his head slightly. "They were expensing oat milk as a wellness necessity." Leo chuckled. "He's got your back, ma'am." At noon, the votes were tallied. The city's population had spoken. Atlas read 82% Elaine Faircroft, 12%. Write-ins and spoiled ballots. 6% the streets erupted into quiet confusion. People weren't cheering. Exactly. They were standing straighter. Their lawns were already mowed. Trash bins were back. Sprinklers rotated in perfect synchronicity. It was like the city itself had exhaled. Elaine held a final press conference outside her gated estate. She wore sunglasses, a scarf, and enough foundation to survive atmospheric re-entry. This election was stolen. She hissed into the microphone. By machine intimidation, by fear, and by math. The mic cut out. Seconds later, Red's voice boomed from a small drone hovering overhead. Your complaint has been filed. It is currently 1,492nd in the queue. Elaine shrieked and stormed off. Her final act as former HOA chair was to knock over her own podium. Back at City Hall, Leo stood beside Atlas at the swearing-in ceremony. The judge raised a brow. I've never sworn in a 28-foot mech before. Red stepped forward. I accept all civic responsibilities. I will execute my duties with logic, precision, and audited compassion. The judge blinked. Audited compassion. Leo leaned in. It's a thing. Don't ask. 3 weeks later, Sterling Pines was a new place. Parking violations dropped 90%. Budget waste decreased by 64%. Tax loopholes were closed with surgical accuracy. HOAs, citywide, either dissolved or restructured under Red's Compliance Transparency Act. All neighborhood boards were now required to pass basic logic and ethics screening. Leo's phone rang constantly with interview requests, offers, even an invite to the Today Show. Atlas Red, meanwhile, stayed exactly where he belonged, in the mayor's office. Behind his titanium desk, meticulously reviewing city contracts with one optical lens and a cup labeled Number 1 Controller. He had refused a salary. Instead, his only condition was this: a plaque placed at the front of City Hall. It read, "Order is not control. Order is care," with receipts. Atlas Red, Mayron, his day off, just one per year. Red visited the cul-de-sac where it all began. He stood silently for 10 minutes in front of the fountain they said he'd blocked. Then he stepped aside. View unobstructed. He said to no one. Leo, watching from his porch, raised his coffee mug. Damn right,